Y'all know what it is.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Eggs. Today's special guest is founder and CEO of GoodAccess VPN, Michal Cizek. Michal started his first successful venture at the age of 18 and has since run the gamut of business projects in the cybersecurity and VPN space. In 2020, he took his nearly 20 years of experience in the field and launched GoodAccess VPN, a global SaaS company trusted by customers in more than 120 countries. Under his tutelage, he's grown the business more than 300% in just 2 years, and as internet security and data protection continues to be on the forefront, GoodAccess shows no sign of slowing down. Joining us today for a conversation about the state of cybersecurity, the real threats to our business and personal data, how to find solutions to protect your information even if you don't have a dedicated IT team, and so much more. Please join us in welcoming to the show, Michal Cizek. Michal, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thrilled to have you. So let's start a little bit. I think you're calling in from somewhere exotic. Where are you calling in from today?
It's kind of exotic, but it's just in the middle of Europe, the Czech Republic. And I'm in a small city, northern to Prague. So you probably know the Prague from Czech Republic, and the northern city is called Ústí nad Labem. I'm proud to do the global business from this place.
Yeah, no, I actually know a lot of companies that have software development teams in Czech Republic, and I actually had a salsa dance instructor who's like a world champion from Czech Republic, which is interesting. So anyway, well, Michal, welcome to the show. And if you don't mind, let's take a little journey down memory lane. Let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey, how you got into sort of business for yourself, and how we got to where we are today.
Perfect. So let's get back in time a little bit. I started my entrepreneurship journey by finishing the college. I studied security, networking, and telecommunication in Brno, Czech Republic, and during the studies, I already jumped into the business because I always did something interesting on myself. Never been employed. So I had an ISP company here in Czech Republic. That was the age when the old internet was going to broadband, the faster one. So we jumped into it and create a local ISP company providing wireless internet here in Czech Republic. And I finished 2008 and went to Thailand, went around the world to think what would be my next journey. And as you probably know, in Asia, usually you get a lot of new ideas because you're resting. And so I got an idea to provide VPN as a service. It was something completely new because the market of consumer-based VPN, it was completely new. Nobody did it. There were 3-4 companies starting this new market, discovering what can be done. And luckily, I jumped into it, built a website with a book in my hand and another book about advertising on Google in another hand. And after 3 months of development, I started it up. And next day, I got first customer. So it was super exciting what happened to me. And it was going this way. So I realized I discovered something new. But I was young, so during this journey, many companies jump in. More experienced entrepreneurs was investing in marketing and global things. So the train went faster than I was able. So I left them to go faster, but got a lot of experience from that. So I started working with my brother and his mate from college. They are both very clever software engineers. So we built up something which is focused for small businesses because we were struggling on the same, we had issues in managing VPN access also to our company resources and these things. So we discovered something new. We made the software for ourselves and seems like it was interesting for many companies around the world. So we started working on something and get investment, get investors, get money, and start building the proper company, global one, with all the knowledge which was necessary, and hopefully the maturity of all of us already. Yeah. It was short, but it's it.
That's awesome. Well, I wonder too, maybe we probably should, to set the groundwork here with some definitions. What, for people listening to the show who maybe don't know, what is a VPN? And you mentioned the VPN to straight to consumer wasn't common when you got started. What was the option before? Is it a hardware solution or something? So what was it? What did you innovate? And what exactly is a VPN?
Yeah, thanks for that question. The VPN is a simply technology which was used for remote access to, when you were outside of the company, you need to get into the office network and being able to work on resources which are on the local network. So remote access, that was the initial use case for having a VPN in the old days. The consumer-based VPN is something that was new in 2008. People, especially spread around the world, were having issues accessing BBC, Netflix, and these online televisions. In some countries, there were blocked access to Skype. So when you were in United Arab Emirates, you were not able to call your family in the United Kingdom. So that was the use case. And people need to get out from the locality they were in. If you are traveling in some countries, you need to get IP address from United States or United Kingdom. And I was able to provide them with the service, having the VPN servers in these countries. So that was the consumer-based use case, which developed over, let's say, 11, 12 years in a global big market served by many companies around the world. And the big ones you probably know from many influencers in the United States, YouTube and everywhere.
Yeah. I've used a VPN for a few years, like quite a while now. And I've switched from providers a few times, mainly because I've heard that of like security risks or data leaks and stuff like that. When you're using a VPN, it's like the idea is to have a secure connection. Like most businesses would, like if you work for a government agency or something like that, you have to access or log in to their network through a VPN. How secure is like say, for example, like a NordVPN or you guys or someone like that? Is there any potential for data leaks or for security risks when you use a third party commercial, everyone's using it, ExpressVPN, NordVPN, those are the ones that just kind of come to mind?
Yeah. I would love to maybe start with the difference between the B2B service, the business VPN, and the consumer-based. What I mentioned before was the consumer-based VPN. So when you are traveling, you are using public Wi-Fi's which are not secured by encryption. So you don't want to leak your data when someone is sniffing on this network or something. So that's the use case for ExpressVPN or VPN, these services. We started a platform called GoodAccess, which is a business-oriented service based on zero trust principles. I can explain it later what is zero trust means, but the use case is much different. You need to secure the access to your business systems. So let your employees to connect securely to business systems and data they work with. And the idea behind is to hide everything you work. The COVID situation and these days showed us that companies needs to provide their business systems accessible over the public internet, which is not secure space, and people were working from home for unprotected devices. You as a business owner have absolutely no control what they work with, where they work from, which networks they use, and your business systems are spread through the public clouds, private clouds, SaaS services. So absolutely no control. If you are not enterprise, you don't have your security team, you simply rely on luck. Nothing special. So that's the case for GoodAccess and what we are trying to serve with by our Zero Trust platform. The use case I mentioned before, the business use case. And the idea behind, let me to explain one more thing, is to hide all these virtual environment which you have in your business into secure private network, which is completely dedicated to you, and you have anytime, anywhere access from anywhere from all your employees. That's it.
Okay, so you're essentially facilitating, say, for example, I worked for an employer and they're giving me access to their data, their hard drives, all that some stuff. If I was working from a Starbucks and I'm sending and receiving these packets of info, someone could be sitting there and just on the public Wi-Fi just capture all that information coming through. And providing a business to business connection like this, essentially you're creating a tunnel that allows that traffic to flow from my computer to your server or the business server without anyone being able to see it in the process.
That's right.
That's okay. I was just trying to layman's terms for people who might not understand why you would need a VPN for a business to business solution.
Well, and I might add, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michal, I believe, so even with these consumer-based solutions, like we talked about ExpressVPN and some of those, I believe there's a security component too, right? So the idea is that you're basically protecting your personal machine if you're on an open network. Is that the idea?
Not exactly. With the consumer-based VPN, you simply protects only your connection to the internet on unsecure networks. But if you want to protect the business systems, you need to have your private VPN gateways and servers, not access the internet through the NordVPN public servers and these public VPN services. So that's the difference. You need to have something which is your own, like your own office. I can explain later. It's a very nice example how to explain what is zero trust VPN environment in an analogy of with the real world.
Yeah, actually, that would be a great place to start, maybe. So I think, a lot of our listeners are going to be used to these consumer sort of models, and they may think even that by having a consumer product that they're actually safe enough, right? That they're already doing something to protect themselves. So it might be good to start with that zero trust and just help people understand, because obviously internet security is a giant factor and people dedicate whole IT teams, but if you're a small business or a mid-sized business and you're just trying to improve your game, it might be good to understand why it is we need.
Yeah, thanks for these questions. I think it's very, very important to provide such information and education. We are serving small businesses and mid-sized companies, which doesn't have their security teams and IT teams. So we aim to provide something super simple and which is simply dedicated to the company. In the old world, you usually had the business building office. When your employee entered the building, you have a security guy verifying his ID, so you know who is entering the building. Then you give them the access cards, simply allowing them to access only doors which are okay for them. You never allow everyone to access every part of the building. And you have security cameras, you have guards. If something happened wrong, you see it on a security camera, so you can make an action and make the environment secure. And everything is hidden in 4 walls of the building. So that's your perimeter. And that's the old world when everything was in one building. The new world is different. People work from home, and business systems are spread around the public internet. So office building is something which is not in the game anymore. And the goal of zero trust, especially the technology is called ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access, is to provide the same security level as we know from the old world in a new world. So imagine you create your secure private network, which is analogy to the building, and you always need to know who is entering. So if it's your employee, they need to verify their identity somehow. So when you enter, you verify your ID. So you are allowing only your employees verified access your secure environment. And when you are in, you don't want to have everyone to access all the business systems and data you have. So you need to make a segmentation, and we use the same principle as we know from the old world. So we give the virtual access card to each employee. You can manage it through the online platform. And when you get access card, you can access your CRM, but not your, public, not your development infrastructure, not your databases, but only work what you need to work with. And the platform provides you complete control. So you have dashboard, you know who was entering each door at each time, and work with an assistant, and you have reporting for GDPR, HIPAA, and SOC. These compliance are necessary in this world. So basically, that's zero trust. The same what we know from the real world in a virtual one.
Yeah. Essentially, it's like giving security levels to different employees for different needs. So like if I'm a developer, I need access to this, but if I'm a designer, I don't need to be accessing code or getting into an area that that there's data involved. I'm just doing design work. And
Exactly.
the reason they do that is because if you get, not necessarily that the employee himself would go and do that, but if his computer or his machine gets hacked, then someone who is in the process of hacking him could get access to that other stuff, and they'd send sniffers out and try and find it. So it's not necessarily that you don't trust your employees, it's that they might click on a link that might compromise their computer, which would then compromise your network because of that. So you're essentially just only allowing access to the things that are needed to the people who need it, just because you don't trust that they're essentially going to hack you. You're just protecting in case they get hacked to keep other people from getting in there. So
exactly. You just need to know who is entering, and if their device is safe, and so your environment could be safe again. So just minimizing all the risks which happened with no service like this.
Okay, like that.
So I wonder too. I mean, are there security risks or things like that we, as individuals, and I think Mike just did a good job of covering sort of what happens in an environment, but like, is there something, again, I'm trying to think of the small business owner, if I've only got a few employees, but let's say we have a central server somewhere. I mean, are there things that we can do to protect ourselves, or is a solution like this too far out of reach for us? Like, when does it make sense to actually get into it?
Okay, very simple. It's a verified use case over thousands of employees and businesses around the world we had. They usually had a publicly accessible server relying only on a password protection or something. And it's the same situation like you would put a locker in the middle of square full of people. So the idea is to hide it from the public internet, not letting it to be accessed by anyone. Because when you publish the server on a public internet, in a few minutes, the robots and botnets, everyone will try to hack it. You will see the logs every second attempt to being hacked. So the idea is to hide it, not provide it publicly, and have it in your secure private network, which can be deployed with no hardware in a matter of minutes. It's super quick, but this is super secure way to not have it public, not rely on password and everything.
Right. Well, yeah, because I'm even thinking about
network level.
My own situation. I run a small design agency, but I work out of my house since COVID, and we have just a small little, consumer grade. You wouldn't even call it a server, like a whatever they call them, the DNS kind of storage.
Yeah.
And so, or the NAS type storage. So, but sometimes I work remotely or I work from somewhere else, and I need to be able to access that NAS. And so, would something even as small as that be more protected using something like this than the software company that created the hardware company that created its portal, for example?
Exactly. This is the very common case for SMBs, and it can be fixed in 10 minutes with GoodAccess platform. Simply, you just need to create a VPN gateway dedicated for your employees. It's an instant deployed, and when you have it, it has a public IP address, which is dedicated to your company only. So on your server, you simply say, only people going through this public IP address, this gateway, are allowed. The rest of the public internet is forbidden. And then you are sure you are allowing the access only to your employees, and you have it under control. You know, they have secure devices, they are verified, they are not pretending to be someone else. And moreover, the entire platform provides some security features, so against phishing attacks, etc. So that's basically it. Makes sense this way?
Yeah. So what do you think the future holds for internet technology? Like, how does a company like GoodAccess stay ahead of what's next, right? I mean, obviously there are, all kinds of new evolutions in hacking and the way that people compromise systems. How do you guys, I guess, first of all, monitor those things and then stay up on them?
Yeah. Basically it started many years ago as it was based on automizing VPN technology and management. That was the idea when we started. But, Gartner named, especially COVID accelerated the new market, which is called SaaS, Secure Access Service Edge, which is for enterprises, something like must have in these days when people are working remotely. And
I literally just set up an SSH last night for GitHub. Like, yeah. I got a new laptop, and I had to be able to pull, from repositories and stuff like that, and they use SSH. So I literally went through that process last night of getting that done. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
Yeah. Okay. I've actually this was something which is super must have in these days for enterprises, but small businesses are struggling with the same issues because people are working remotely. They have public servers, but there is no service for them. And we just try to cover the most useful use case, like you mentioned before, but there is an opportunity in future to provide entire cybersecurity platform, protecting not only the remote access, but protecting against the phishing attacks and other attacks, and protecting the devices against malware and viruses. Because when you work with some trustful provider like GoodAccess, entire networking is going through the secure provider which you trust to. So it's on network level, and we can help you to avoid the anomalies which are happening in your network. We can detect the malware, we can detect phishing attacks, everything, and protect you automatically. So the goal is to go with the trend and provide entire platform which is deployed with no hardware in matter of minutes for anyone in the world for affordable price. So that's where we are heading to.
Can you break down that pricing? Is it based on the number of machines, the number of VPNs required? Like, how does your pricing set up, your structure?
It's human oriented, so we calculate the pricing based on number of employees, regardless if they have multiple devices, doesn't matter. So the seats, users is the way how this SaaS service is priced. So you pay per number of employees, and maybe you need to have more gateways. Let's say part of your team is working from United States, part of your team is working from Asia or Europe. So you probably need to have your VPN gateway to have as close as possible to your people. So basically you can buy some add-ons, connect your cloud networks, connect your offices. This is paid separately, but you can start with 5 people in a team. It's super simple.
Yeah, actually, looking over your pricing, I mean, it seems very fair. I mean, it doesn't seem exorbitant at all for the kind of protection you're offering. I wanted to ask, though, you just mentioned that you want to try and have your gateway as close to you as possible. I guess that's probably a speed thing. And this is something I've heard about VPNs in the past. It doesn't maybe seem to be as big a problem anymore, but that there used to be sort of bandwidth restriction or issues with VPN where it was slowing down your internet speeds. And I know in my case, I've used some VPNs in the past, so I can access foreign websites or Netflix, like your example. And but they were cheap or free, and the access was slow and sluggish. So I mean, is there any concern around the amount of bandwidth that you're going to have, or are there bottlenecks by going through VPN that you might not otherwise experience?
Actually, honestly, I was afraid of this when I was moving from consumer-based VPN services to B2B. But we quickly realized that people using services like GoodAccess are using it mainly for business purposes. So we decided to have an unlimited bandwidth, unlimited data usage, and people are not abusing it. So it's unlimited, it's working. We have infrastructure, about 36 plus locations where you can deploy your private gateway in a world. So you have it always close to your employees. And if you have it close, you are not facing to slowdowns or latency issues like you mentioned with the consumer-based VPN. It's yours. So if your employees will all watching Netflix and etc., it may be slower, but it doesn't happen this way.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, no, fair enough. No, I think that's good to know, because I think that's a common, maybe it's a misnomer, although you mentioned that you guys purposefully don't restrict the speeds. That makes me think that maybe in the past, other companies have restricted the speeds on purpose. And maybe that makes sense in a consumer space where you probably are streaming data and things like that. But
maybe I can add something. One example, many of our customers are using it on daily basis. They are not disconnecting the VPN. They are always on connected with their private secure network and work on secure environment all the time. So especially me, I have always unconnected my phone, my laptop, and I'm not facing to any issues to have it connected always. I'm not simply disconnecting myself.
So I run into issues. I use NordVPN right now, and they seem to work fine for me. But I'll be connected, and then all of a sudden my internet traffic will stop. Like it won't work, nothing. But if I disconnect, but I still have, like, my Netflix on my TV works, my Netflix on my whatever other streaming device that I have will still be connected to the internet, my phone or whatever, but on my laptop just stops. And then it wants me to unconnect from the NordVPN and reconnect, and then it works fine. Is there, like, why would that happen? Why would it just all of a sudden out of the blue just stop all traffic and make me reconnect? Is that just them making sure that I don't know.
Can't say how their technology works, but possible reasons could be simply that they have some limitation on number of devices you can have connected simultaneously, or it's a low-level system technology. So maybe something like antivirus or something in your laptop may be blocking this VPN connection. So there may be some conflicts. It happened, and it's quite hard to make it working flawlessly on all the systems and all devices. We worked hard on it very well. I think we are on a good path already.
Yeah. Is there any type of malware that you could get on your computer that would essentially try to block your VPN connection, or try to kind of bypass it? Or say, for example, I'm with GoodAccess and I'm connecting to a business, in New York, and say I have malware on my computer. Could that once I'm connected through the VPN, could there still be a hack around, or a way that they can still kind of get that information?
Okay, our aim is to avoid that situation. You usually got infected by simply clicking on wrong link in a social network messages or email. So if you are connected with GoodAccess, there is a threat blocker which doesn't allow you to, even if your employee click on that, it simply doesn't open the infected website. So we are protecting this way, and you can see how many hits and how many threats we are blocking every day in your dashboards in an entire platform. But if you got infection and you get into it, once you log into your platform, it can be harmful for your business system. So that's why we are segmenting the access. Simply, we don't allow you to access an entire network, only business systems you need to work with, the access cards. So that's one protection. And another one is the technology we are working on and improving is that we are able to detect the malware behavior on entire network. So if we detect some device is not healthy, we can let you know or even block the device before it can be harmful for your business systems and data.
Interesting. Good to know.
So yes. I think in your role in the company, you're one of the primary drivers behind growth. And I wonder if you could sort of talk about the types of issues you run into when you go to sell people on a VPN. I mean, we've covered a lot of the reasons why you should have it, but do you have any examples or, anything that people come to you with as reasons why not to get a VPN that you can sort of dissuade? Are there concerns about complexity and installation, or, they have a small team or something, are there any kind of pushback that you get from people?
Actually not. Our biggest issue is to simply show to the world that it could be that easy. So when they jump on the platform, we are getting a lot of reviews. We never realized it could be that simple, and they are confirming our approach. So I think there is no reason to stay on unprotected internet without a VPN connection with your corporate network. I stopped my behavior once I had a company and had a GoodAccess installed, so I work always and connected with that with no struggles. That was my aim. I was pushing the entire company to, there were our team. I had several challenges, making the application so stable, so quickly operating with no struggles, and we made it. Now we are competing each other who is more time connected or more longer connected with GoodAccess over the month. So people in our company are winning the prizes with testing entire environment. It's quite fun.
So when you're connected through a VPN to a company computer or a company server like that, can you still access the regular internet and do Google searches and do all that other stuff? Or are you only allowed to work with the files in association with what you need for work? Like regular.
Sorry about it. You can work with as it normally works. So you simply go to the internet through the network you trust, which is dedicated to you, and you don't need to care as an employee or employer. You don't need to care about the networks you connect from. One example, if you connect through some big nationwide ISP, they always have technology which are sniffing you a little bit. They are looking how much time you spend on social networks, how much time you spend on work, where you work from, where you connect from. Those are data which you don't need to provide. If you select one secure provider and you work through your secure business network all the time, they simply don't have access to data like this.
So I know that because I listen to hacking podcasts and stuff like that. So I have a broad overview of how it works, but I also don't at the same time. So I know that the ISPs are trying to gather data and share data and use it for whatever they want, kind of thing. And the idea of having a VPN is also to block that. But can't they, if you're doing something nefarious or you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, can't they just go and get a search warrant and get all that data anyways? Or is that kind of like I don't know, are there ways to it? I'm not that I'm a hacker. I'm trying to, do anything nefarious.
Sounds like you're trying to get away with something.
Yeah, hey, no, on the DL, but is there, if your whole intent is to stop the ISP from having knowledge of what you're doing, and they can bypass it with a search warrant, what's the point?
you always bypass those data and behavior through some provider. So you always need to select who will be in charge, who will see the data and information. Always needs to be someone. So if you go through Nord, if you go through ExpressVPN, you always go through these providers. If you go through GoodAccess, you just selected the provider as a safe, trusted one you want to share the data and go with. And according to terms of service and everything, you can learn what we are using data for, and we focus definitely just for protecting your company from being hacked, detecting the threats and blocking it. So this is about, but anyway, you always serve through someone.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
I wanted to ask you, and this is not VPN related, but a little bit about you and your background. So I'm just curious. You mentioned that you were kind of always drawn into business when you were in college. You were immediately starting little ventures and things like that. Is entrepreneurism, I mean, I guess you're, being a guy in the SaaS business, you're probably familiar with sort of the American style of entrepreneurism. Is that common in the Czech Republic also? Like, I mean, are individuals empowered to do that kind of thing, or are you an outlier?
It's very common here. I think we have very nice startup community here, and many SaaS communities are here and sharing the experience. But not every SaaS service is with such a global aim. We have customers. It started quite quickly to have customers in more than 120 countries around the world. So it was global from the beginning. And there was a lack of experience how to do the marketing and how to do the global marketing, how to use publisher networks, how to use all the tools which are necessary to running the business like this. So we had to learn very quickly, and I'm super proud to have a nice community here connecting me with the knowledge even outside of Czech Republic, in the United States and Western Europe and UK.
Yeah, it seems like if I recall, and I might be messing this up, but I think the Czech Republic has great incentives for remote workers too, which seems like something that might draw people from around the world. And it seems like Czech Republic also has, really good access to the rest of the world in terms of being a country in the middle of Europe and things like that. It seems like you have a more global view of things than some other countries I'm familiar with, where entrepreneurship, for example, in some countries just isn't something that enters into your mind. Like, the idea is you'll grow up and you'll work at the same job your parents had or whatever, and that's it. And so, but it seems like Czech Republic is very advanced in those ways. And I know there are other parts of Europe that are the same, but I think my question was really just kind of around wondering, what the environment's like in Czech Republic, not just in terms of like developer communities and stuff, because as I mentioned at the top, a lot of American companies use Czech resources, but for people who live there, is the say opposite true? Is it easy to find work outside of the country?
I think it's very new to people here to look through the LinkedIn and work outside remotely. It's very new here, but it's also very new for us. For me, I started with the developer team in our city. Then we were hiring people in the entire Czech Republic. And last year, we started hiring people regardless where they are. So we are moving to the completely remote working, especially our marketing team and sales team is totally spread. And I'm proud it works. And it's quite challenging to keep the culture because we are a culture-driven company. It started like that. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about it later. But it works, and it's quite hard to stay in touch, do the stuff like all hands meeting, share the not only the work experience but the social interaction, everything online, and meet sometimes from time to time in person. It's very important, and I'm super happy.
No, and maybe culture is a good spot to touch on too. I mean, obviously, we're here in the United States. We're very used to sort of the American culture and how that was translated during COVID to the internet, for example, how we started working remotely and the dumb things everybody was doing over Zoom. And so, but in your case, especially if you're working with people outside of the Czech Republic, I mean, have you had any problems or have you noticed any issues in terms of not just sort of a corporate culture, but your corporate culture as it's informed by sort of, I guess, your cultural culture, your historical culture of being a person from the Czech Republic?
The example is how the hiring of VP of marketing recently worked. It was strictly through the LinkedIn. I spoke to many people, and I usually feel these things in heart. So when I was talking to Odette, our new VP of marketing, I felt it. And so we were trying to find out how we could cooperate, because the marketing team was led before by someone local who was speaking Czech language, and it worked flawlessly this way. But this step, we simply jumped into it by inviting him to Czech Republic, spending very intense 14 days with the entire team, having parties, having planning sessions, having workshops. And after that, he simply was friend with everybody and left. He's living in Athens at the moment. He's considering to move there, but it works remotely. And it was super important step. I would recommend to everyone to not start working with someone with no social interaction at the beginning, because it brings so much value at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, on this show, we talk a lot about the, relationships between people and relationships with people and companies. And, I think that there is a certain amount that you can transmit through Zoom, but, the way you hang out with somebody, in the workplace, the way they interact with everybody there, the way they party, do you want to hang out with them the next day? I mean, all those things are factors that will weigh into, a good hire. And I mean, of course, if you're doing a completely online process, you might miss out on some of those things and maybe make a bad decision. And so I think it's really important to consider that, because it's funny with all this push to, online everything and remote everything and all that stuff. I think there was a bit of that sort of human touch that was lost. There's I mean, a lot of big companies do a lot of their hiring without ever meeting you in person. They might have you on a Zoom call or something, but they're not flying you out. And so I think that that's a really important idea that you bring up. And obviously, I think in my mind, it's critical.
Well, we're kind of getting to that time. Do you want to tell people where they can reach out, how they can get in touch with you if they have any questions, if they want to try your product?
That would be great to contact me directly on LinkedIn. I'm accepting the connections from everyone who is interested in everything. So personally, through LinkedIn. And the best way how to try the platform is to sign up for a free trial, or, what is interesting, you can have a freemium service for 100 employees for no payment forever, with unlimited connection. The same service which you can buy from Norter and then other competitors in a retail market, you can have for your employees for free. If you have less than 101, you can have it. And the testing can be done in a matter of minutes through the free trial on GoodAccess.com.
Okay, GoodAccess.com. Perfect. I was just going to ask what the link was. Side question before we end. One question. I have noticed that there are certain websites that will detect if you're using a VPN and require you to shut your VPN off to access their website. How do they tell? And is there a workaround for that?
Okay, it's side of the business or service we provide. It's related to consumer-based VPN, but I can tell. It's quite easy to find which servers and IP address ranges is being used by those retail VPN providers. It's simple knowledge which is publicly accessible. So when you want to have some website which cannot be accessible through these public retail VPN providers, you simply detect these IP addresses or ranges and block the access.
Okay, so
that's the way. But if you go with your dedicated GoodAccess VPN gateways dedicated for your business purpose and access through it the public resources, which has this detection, you will probably not be detected this way.
Interesting. So by using not a less, well, I guess a less common company, those access points aren't going to be as flagged or heavily redacted by these bigger companies that are looking for that kind of connection. So that makes sense.
You never know. But let's try it.
Right. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I enjoyed this conversation and learned a bunch. So,
thank you, guys. It was a pleasure to share something what I know about this environment and VPNs. I'm really long in this business, so let's continue this way next time.
Perfect.
I love it. Well, thanks so much, Michal. This was an awesome conversation. Lots to digest there and lots to learn. Check out goodaccess.com for your free trial, or even get on their little freemium plan, which is pretty cool, up to 100 users. And thanks to everybody who tunes into the show this week and every week. And see you all next time.